Now let's talk about hacking methodology or hacking phases. And I have a little diagram here on the screen that kind of shows you a logical flow. We have reconnaissance, scanning, gaining access, maintaining access, and clearing tracks. Now understand that this is in theory, okay? Typically a hacking engagement does not go as as linear as this. It doesn't flow as linear as you might think. And in some cases, while you're scanning a system, you might be doing recon on another system. While you're maintaining access on one, you also might be scanning or gaining access to another system. So it can be cyclic, and you can be doing actually multiple things at once. So understand that up front. But for the purposes of the exam, it's a linear model, and it goes from reconnaissance, scanning, gaining access, maintaining access, and clearing tracks. Let's talk a little bit more about each one. So we have this hacking methodology that EC Council through the CEH exam promulgates, and it starts with reconnaissance. And we're going to talk about all of these a lot more in depth as we go through the course. This is just kind of an introduction to this methodology for you. First of all, we have reconnaissance, and that's the preparation phase. Typically during this phase, we're preparing for the attack, but we're not doing anything actively to the organization or to its systems. What we may do is engage in either passive reconnaissance or active reconnaissance. And all we want to do is gather information about the target. And when I say target, it could be a particular system, a particular network, the organization in general, or even a specific person or specific people. So we're gathering information using a wide variety of methods, and we'll talk about footprinting later on, but basically footprinting means that we're getting detailed information about an organization, its network infrastructure, operating systems that it uses, types of applications that it uses, the types of businesses that it does, maybe the different business partners or different customers. We're looking for ways into the system, possible attack vectors, ways to attack the organization or its network. So we're doing all this reconnaissance just to gather information. That's all this phase really is. Then we go into scanning, and scanning also has several sub-phases to it. But what we're doing here is we're scanning the infrastructure, maybe using scan tools, passive scanning possibly, or active scanning, depending upon whether we want to avoid detection or not. And we're gathering infrastructure information. We want to know what types of ports are open on systems, what types of services they are running, and what types of vulnerabilities could come from those services. So we may scan a system in a web server, for example, and we may find that it's running a particular type of web server, and because we see that it has port 80 open. And then we might go and do some banner grabbing, get the exact kind of web server that's running, the version and everything, and then go find vulnerabilities, research vulnerabilities that are associated with that particular web server. So we're looking for vulnerability information in the form of open ports, services, what protocols it's using, what applications it may be using, what versions, and so forth. So we can get vulnerability information so we know what we're going to attack. The next phase of this is actually starts our attack, and that's gaining access. Again, there's several different things that go into this. We don't just attack once and gain access. We may actually exploit some of the vulnerabilities we found during the scanning phase. Maybe we'll use tools like Backtrack and Metasploit. But in any case, we actually penetrate the system. This is an active part of this methodology. We have direct contact with the organization and its networking and computing resources, maybe even its people. We may do social engineering to get access physically to an organization so we can get to a wiring closet and plug in or something. In this case, though, we actually penetrate the systems in the organization. In the next part of this, we maintain our access. Once we have our access, we've penetrated. What we want to do then is to keep our access, keep it going for as long as we can so we can steal data, exfiltrate data, maybe alter data or destroy it, depending upon what the goal is of this particular hack attack. We also may want to extend our access to other systems, kind of leapfrog. So we may get root access or administrative access on one box and then work from there on getting access to other boxes, kind of leapfrogging from box to box or system to system. We also may try to escalate access to the system. Maybe we got access as a low-level normal user account, but we want to get privileged access. We want the root account or the true administrator account for Windows. So we may escalate access during this particular phase as well. The next phase, in my mind, really isn't a phase you would do after everything. It's something you kind of do during everything, but you can do it after you've gained access as well. And this is where we try to avoid detection. Maybe we clear logs, evade IDS systems, get through the firewall, and try to use tools and techniques that make it so it's difficult for us to be detected. We may encrypt our tools to get them through the IDS, or we may use weird port combinations or flags on our TCP traffic to get things past the IDS and firewall. Once we get in, we definitely want to clear log files to erase any indication that we were ever there and that we've done anything, that we've accessed files or other objects. So during this phase, this is what we're trying to do, clear our tracks to avoid detection. And in my mind, you will do parts of this throughout your entire methodology, throughout your hacking. When you're scanning, you definitely don't want to be detected, so you might scan in strange ways to avoid detection. Definitely while you're gaining access, you don't want to be detected, so you may do things to prevent being detected while you're actually breaking into a system. And definitely while you're maintaining access, you're trying to keep the administrators and the organization from learning that you're there. So in my mind, you do the clearing tracks thing throughout, but the CEH exam kind of puts this phase as the last part of it. But understand that you do it throughout the entire process. So this is our hacking methodology, and again, we're going to go more in depth through this as we go through the rest of the course.